HS2 campaigners have launched an advertising campaign as the House of Lords debate the third reading of the HS2 Phase 1 hybrid bill. And here to let us know a little bit more is Joe Ruckin. And Joe, you're from the Stop HS2 campaign. So tell us a little bit about why you don't want this HS2 project to go ahead.
Well, HS2, right from the start, has been a vanity project. It's politicians thinking that they've got an idea of leaving a legacy behind and blowing a vast amount of money that could be spent on a couple of hundred smaller transport projects on one big, shiny thing that they hope to be remembered for. And the problem is that all the arguments for HS2 have simply been made up. It's not going to deliver in terms of jobs and growth in the north. It will just suck more stuff down to London. They're saying it's needed for capacity because everyone who's been on a train has been on a busy train, but it delivers capacity where it's needed least. And Theresa May herself, at Prime Minister's Questions last week, said that in-cab signalling could increase capacity by 40% on the railways. And you're thinking, well, that's got to cost a lot less than HS2. And, you've just seen the costs go up and up. Because 250 miles an hour has been plucked out the air, it has massive environmental destruction where, a slower railway wouldn't, and a slower railway would be able to connect to far more towns and cities, deliver more benefits to more people. It's just been a bad idea from start to finish.
So what you're saying is you're not against kind of like connecting Bradford more efficiently to the rest of the country. You're not against progress. You're not wanting us to kind of like not invest in the transport structure. You just think that maybe we haven't looked at all of the options and come up with the best one.
Absolutely. And so, HS2's got absolutely nothing to do with Bradford at all. You will have a faster train to Leeds, and not even where the station currently is. It's on the other side of the River Aire. 12 months ago, where they're planning to build the station was 6 feet underwater. And the last time I tried to get a train between Bradford and Leeds, it was abysmal, only because there were so few trains. It was 2 carriages, and you were just crammed in the entire way. And people who suffer crush hour conditions like that are going to continue to do so. And it's going to get worse because HS2 is going to suck up the entire transport infrastructure budget for the best part of 20 years. Well, and they say it won't, but we've already seen Midland Main Line electrification put on hold. We've already seen the same thing with East Coast Main Line upgrades. They wanted to electrify between Selby and Hull. So you've got this entire electrified line all the way from Hull to Liverpool. Even though the train company was going to put the most of the money into that, they said no. The reason is there isn't going to be the money, and if there isn't going to be the money, you shouldn't be spending money on HS2 because it benefits so few people, just the people who do the big intercity journeys.
Well, I recently went to Coventry to go and do some training there, and the links between Coventry and Birmingham and all of the stations there and the ease of getting around and everything else was just kind of like completely at odds with the stations and kind of like what Bradford and the kind of Bradford's connection with Leeds is. And it was just kind of quite shocking, really, in terms of like kind of similar distances, and Bradford's not kind of so dissimilar to Coventry. What they have to connect it to the next big city and what we have is just not even on the same lines.
Exactly, and this is the thing that, it's probably 10 years since I did Bradford to Leeds on the train, but I just was amazed how terrible it was because I'm based in Coventry, and I can say, the service between, Colford and Brum and Wolverhampton and Rugby is brilliant. Yeah. But the worst thing is that when HS2's being built, that service gets cut because, Coventry, for example, has 3 fast trains to London and 3 fast trains to Birmingham because every London to Birmingham train stops there. If you put London to Birmingham on HS2, you can't justify those trains. Well, there won't be a station for a start, but you can't justify the remaining trains all stopping at Coventry. You can't justify there being as many trains. And the HS2 business case required £11.2 billion of cuts to the existing rail network. And that's going to affect even the trains from London to Leeds that stop at places, places like Chesterfield and Wakefield and Derby, etc., etc.
Right,
You're actually losing the trains that you have. This is what they say when they say HS2 will free up capacity. It means you will lose the trains that you already have. It seems a big price to pay for something that is only going to be, a benefit to the richest in society, i.e. the people who do, on a regular basis, the long-distance intercity journeys. And only a few of them, London to Birmingham to Leeds to Manchester and to a field outside Nottingham.
Okay, Joe, this is Carol here. I'm just going to sort of say, do you not think that we need to look forward to the future? Do you think it's just the HS2 proposal itself that is wrong? Have you got sort of ideas for other ways of upgrading the whole rail network and how we're going to fund it and really what needs to happen in the next 20, 30 years? Because we need a future. We're only a small island after all, and we do need this connectivity. But your advert, that your advertising campaign is aimed at MPs who would still have to approve the bill, and I'm just wondering about the MPs in the Bradford area and what people can say, because obviously we don't want to look backwards, we need to look forwards. What is it that we need to be saying to them?
Well, there's two different questions there, which are, yes, you need to look forwards, but this is a problem. HS2 is a 19th century solution to a 21st century problem. The reality is that if you want a sustainable economy in the future, you want to be investing in broadband so that people don't have to travel massive, increasing distances to work, but there's actually jobs where people live. That would be a brilliant idea instead of just sucking more stuff to London. But if you're talking about upgrading the rail infrastructure, there is absolutely loads that you can do. Some of the things that I've mentioned to Fran that have already been put on hold, for example. But the Leeds-Bradford line is a brilliant example of something that's been desperately needing upgrading for donkey's years. Even if you wanted to do high-speed rail, you're doing it the wrong way, because they've decided to go in a straight line from London to Birmingham. It's meant that they've had to put in loads of tunnels through London, through Birmingham, through the Chilterns, instead of doing what you do on the continent, which is you follow a motorway. And better still, the railways, they're out in the country for the high-speed sections, then they go into the existing stations. So you get massive more connectivity, and they cost far less because you don't have to build all these brand new stations. Because, Birmingham's getting 2 new stations. Neither of the stations in Birmingham is actually where the current station is. The same's true with Leeds, the same's true with Nottingham, that they're planning to build one in the field outside Crewe as well. And it's just bonkers.
So,
because if you were doing it slower, you'd be able to do it like they've done on the continent, which would cost less money to build and less money to run.
Now, you've done this, the advert that you've done aims to draw attention to the costs of HS2. How are the MPs responding? Are they responding along party lines, or what can people do to contact and get involved in this with their MPs?
Well, to contact your MP, please go to our website, stophs2.org. It's not the top article, it'll be a couple down now, but it's clear that where to go to email your MP and register your opposition to HS2. But the problem is that, this is a project that's got a life of its own, and on party political grounds, it's absolutely amazing that Jeremy Corbyn originally voted against HS2 when he was just an ordinary MP before he became leader. He's since been leaned on by 2 of the transport unions, the TSSA and ASLEF, to sort of support it, very much like he did in the EU debate, where he'd always been against the EU, and then all of a sudden he had to be for it because he was leader. And it's emerged just last week that Theresa May as well, when she first became Prime Minister, said, I want to cancel this, and said, it's too late. And no, if it's a bad project, it's never too late to cancel it, because no shovel has hit the ground yet.
Okay.
It's still, if it's a bad project, it's a bad project. So there is a lot of opposition amongst MPs for it, but for some reason, the project has got a life of its own, and it is steamrolling its way through.
So your advertising campaigns has been launched, and we wish it well and see what happens to our own Bradford MPs, and listeners can contact and find out more about the Stop HS2 campaign by going to your website, which is
stophs2.org.
Fantastic.
And it's also on the Friends of the Earth Taxpayers Alliance, and I'm not sure Greenpeace are hosting it, but that's just one thing, Friends of the Earth and the Taxpayers Alliance and Greenpeace all agree on something, and you just wouldn't have thought that, organisations that diverse would come together on something like this.